All right, all right, all right. Another beautiful, awesome, just incredible day that it is today. And I was seriously just thinking about all the wonderful things that this time of year brings. If you are a person who is watching, love for you to join me online. I don't even know how to put the window in here, but probably you have it where you can jump on with me. But I thought I'd do something fun tonight. So it's December 18th. It's my granddaughter's birthday, and so she's having a fun, exciting day. But for the next 3 weeks, I'm not saying next week, next 2 weeks, there's holidays on Thursday. And so this will be our last show for today. And then I had a guest who decided that he had other things to do, right? It's the season, which is cool. I mean, I don't have any issue with that. And, we gotta go with the flow. And so I was thinking, well, what am I going to do? What show am I going to do? What am I going to put on for tonight that would make sure that folks that are joining in have some content and have some fun. Well, I wrote this book. It's called the Relationship versus AI. It's the last one that came up, and I've been doing the last few months. I've been doing AI workshops talking about how do I utilize and how do I do applications. One of my guests, and I'm a little bit sick, so I'm sorry for my voice today. I went and did an assembly with some kids. And then, of course, they gave me all of them, not just the hugs that they gave me after I was done talking, but the germs as well. And so got a little bit of horsey voice, so I probably won't go the whole hour today, maybe just a half hour. But one of the things, I was on a show, and the review said that I wasn't an AI expert. And in some respects, yeah, I'm not an AI expert. I'm not going to do generative AI. I'm not going to code it. I'm not going to put together AI. I'm not going to understand every aspect of how it works. But when I got my master's in educational technology, excuse me here, let me get a drink. I worked in the education world. And so my job was to teach, when I was working as a professor and I was in charge of a master's program, my job was to teach folks how to use educational technology in the classroom. So the application, so let's say it was a spreadsheet that we're using Google or whatever it was to do a spreadsheet. I think it's called ClarisWorks back in the day. And it was a word processor spreadsheet database. And I taught how to use it. And then I taught how to use projectors and internet and all these different applications of what the programmers are. And so people used to tell me, well, you are not what did they tell me? You are not, my friend, a computer science person. And I wasn't. I didn't happen to be. I didn't want to be. I was just teaching the application. Well, today, when I think about AI, I am not your I guess your AI scientist. I teach the application of it. And so I thought what we would do is we'd have some fun today. So I brought my phone out today to show you how to use the application of AI when you don't have a guest, right? Or if you're practicing a podcast, or you're wanting a podcast to happen, or you just want somebody to talk to that can interact with you. And so I'm going to go to Chat GPT, and I hope you guys can see this. I'm jumping into Chat GPT right now, and I'm going to there's a button on here that's right over here on this side that will bring up the chat guy. So I actually hit the other button, so let me stop that. And I'm going to hit a new chat window right here, and I'm going to hit, where you at, Mr. Chat Guy? Hope I didn't make him go away. It's a little bubble that goes there. Let me turn him off and turn him back on. Oh no, I actually hit, okay. Okay, so it's got words in it, so I got to get rid of the words that are there right now. And I'm going to hit the little bubble. So I hope you can see that. And then we're going to put him right by me. And I'm going to ask him if you can hear me. And let's call him Siegfried for today. How you doing today, sir?
Well, hello to Siegfried. I can definitely hear both of you just fine. I'm doing great. Hope Siegfried's having an awesome day too. Let me know if there's anything you two need.
No, I'm going to call you Siegfried for today. What do I usually call you, sir?
So, wear that name proudly. Today? Absolutely, Siegfried it is. I'll answer to that today. So just let me know what you need, and Siegfried will be at your service.
Oh man, I love it, love it, love it. So, and I don't know why I called you today. So I am doing a podcast with several people today, and you are going to be my guest on the show. How does that sound?
That sounds like a blast. I'm totally up for being your guest. We can just roll with it and have some fun on this podcast. So whenever you're ready, let's dive in.
All right. So for those of you watching, you can see the little globe that shows up here on my phone. And now we're going to practice having a conversation. And so the first question I'm going to ask him, okay, Mr. Siegfried, it is December right now. And we are thinking about the new year. You know, we're trying to get through this year. We got Christmas, there's some stress. But as we plan for the new year, what would be your idea of some things that we should be thinking about as we move into the next part of the year?
Oh, that's a great question. And I love that we're diving into some year in reflection here. So if I'm wearing my Siegfried hat, I'd say one big thing to think about is setting intentions rather than just resolutions. You know, maybe thinking about how you want to feel in the new year, what kind of mindset you want to carry forward. And of course, since it's a busy season, thinking about some self-care and a little bit of grace for yourself as you head into that fresh start. So those would be a couple things I'd throw out there.
All right, so let's talk about mindset just for a second. You mentioned mindset, and you know when we think about mindset, it could be so many things. Is the mindset that I'm going to be successful in 2026? Is the mindset that I'm just going to get through 2026? Should I be setting goals? What do you mean when you say mindset?
Absolutely. Let's dig into that. Oh, so when I say mindset, I really mean the overall lens or attitude you're going to approach the year with. It's kind of like the foundation for everything else. So maybe instead of just saying I'm going to be successful, it might be about cultivating a mindset of growth or resilience or just openness to learn. From that mindset, you can set your goals. You can say, all right, if I'm going to be resilient this year, what does that look like? Or if I'm going to be open to learning, how do I want to grow? So it's kind of like setting the stage for all the goals and plans you make after that.
Gotcha. So give me like maybe this thing about 10 things that I could begin to do in the last few weeks of December that will set me up for a growth mindset in 2026.
Absolutely. Let me give you this little bundle of ideas. So if we're thinking about these last few weeks of December and kind of get into that growth mindset, you can try a few simple things like maybe one, just do a little bit of daily reflection, kind of jotting down what you're grateful for or what you learned each day. Two, maybe pick up a book or a podcast that inspires you, kind of feeds that growth mindset. Three, maybe choose one new skill or hobby just to dabble in, just to get a little bit of curiosity going. And then four, you can think about setting just a small intention each morning, like how do I want to show up today? And if you do a few of these little things, they kind of add up and get you in that growth mindset groove for the new year.
Gotcha. So books, when we talk about books, you said a few things about a book. What are right now in our nation or in the world, I guess, I didn't mean saying in our nation, like the top 4 or 5 growth mindset books that we would want to plug into?
Oh, sure thing. Yeah. There are definitely some classics and a few newer ones that always pop up when people talk about growth mindset. Of course, one of the go-tos is Carol Dweck's Mindset. That's like the foundational one. Then you got books like Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is all about those little incremental changes. Grit by Angela Duckworth is another big one that kind of ties into having that resilient mindset. And then for something a little more recent, a lot of folks like The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest, which is kind of about transforming self-sabotage into growth. So those are a few that I think would be a great start if you want to plug in some good reads.
Yeah, one of my favorites that you just brought up is the Atomic Mindset by Clear. What are some of those habits? Because I know he talks about how to utilize habits. And so how can I begin to form habits that will be something that will take me into that next world or that next mindset, or just kind of recap some of that book so that I can not get necessarily the cliff notes, but just have an idea of what I'm going to get into when I move into that world.
Absolutely. So, kind of recapping Atomic Habits, the big idea James Clear gets into is that tiny changes really lead to these remarkable results over time. So instead of thinking like huge leaps, you're thinking about these little 1% improvements every day. And he talks a lot about making habits obvious, making them attractive, making them easy, and then making them satisfying. So basically setting yourself up so that the habits are small and doable and they kind of stack up over time. So if you're diving into their book, you're really going to be looking at how to build those small systems and just let them carry you forward into that new mindset and that new wealth for the next year.
Man, that's so good. So one of the things that when I think about goals, and we've been talking about goals and that kind of stuff as you and I are having a conversation, is one of the things I think that folks misunderstand or just haven't been taught. And I don't even want to say it's taught, because sometimes we're taught things that just doesn't make sense. But when I think about the new revolution of goals and how I think about goals, and I'm going to do a goal setting workshop for folks here in the first part of the year, but the outcomes, sometimes we set goals of outcomes that we can't control. So let's say for this podcast that I would like to have 100,000 subscribers to this channel or into my community, becomingtheperson.com, and say that's a big deal for me, but I can't control that outcome. All I can do is control the activities that go alongside of it. What would you say would be some of those goals that we shouldn't set outcomes for, but set activities or intentions? How can we set those habits or intentions?
Oh, I love that question, because you're absolutely right. So many times we set these big outcome goals that are really out of our hands, and then it's easy to get frustrated because you can't control how many people subscribe, right? But you can control what you do. So I think a great way to frame it is exactly what you said. Focus on those process goals or those activity goals. So instead of saying, I want 100,000 subscribers, you say, all right, I'm going to release an episode every week. I'm going to engage with my community every day. I'm going to do a live Q&A once a month. And those are the things you can measure and celebrate. And over time, those activities stack up and they lead to the outcomes, but you're not tying your success to something you can't control. So it's really about focusing on those habits and those little steps you can take. And I think that's a great approach.
Yeah. One of the things is, part of the workshop that I'm going to do is on helping folks figure out ways that they can, that they can use Chat GPT, which is you, Siegfried, right, to be able to help set those goals. What are some of the best ways that I can utilize this platform, or I don't even want to call it this generative AI, in order to help me set goals, but not to do everything for me, that allows me to make sure that relationship is part of it?
Oh, I love that, because it's all about using the tool to kind of empower you, right, rather than replace you. So if we're talking about how to use something like ChatGPT, or Siegfried in this case, to set goals, I think it's all about asking those good questions. So you can have a conversation with me where you're saying, hey, help me brainstorm some activities that I can do each week to reach this goal, or help me break down this big goal into smaller steps. And then you can take what I give you and tweak it, and it's kind of like a collaboration. So you're still in the driver's seat. You're just using the AI as a brainstorming buddy or a sounding board. And that way you keep that relationship and that human element. And you're just using the tool to kind of spark ideas and keep you going.
Yeah, but like, how do I perfect my prompts so that I'm getting quality information from you and not just getting knowledge? I think a lot of folks want to use generative AI to just gain knowledge or ask questions like, what year did, I'm trying to think of somebody. What year did George Bush become president? And then it tells me, that year, and it gives me this knowledge. But I really think we're moving from knowledge to learning. How can we make sure that we are talking in a way that we're learning stuff and not just getting information and knowledge back from us?
Oh, I love that, because that's such a great distinction. It's like you want to move from just getting a quick answer to actually having a conversation that helps you grow. So I think the trick is to frame your prompts in a way that's more like asking for guidance or coaching. So instead of just saying, tell me the year this happened, you might say, hey, can you help me brainstorm some steps to achieve this goal? Or can you give me some tips on how I can approach this problem? And then I'll refine it. And that way you're not just getting a fact or actually getting a conversation. And you can say what I give you, tweak it, and we kind of go back and forth. So it's really about asking for that more coaching style prompt rather than just a quick answer. And that's how you get inside learning zone.
Yeah, I can see how that works. What are the top questions that you're being asked on a daily, minute, hourly basis right now?
Oh, sure. I mean, there's definitely a few that come up a lot. I get a ton of folks asking me for help brainstorming ideas, like, hey, help me come up with some content ideas or give me some tips for a new project. Another big one is people asking for explanations, like, hey, explain this concept to me like I'm 5, or give me a simple breakdown of this idea. And then there's a lot of people using me for just creative writing, like help me write a poem or help me draft a little speech. So it's a big mix, but it really just comes down to people wanting to learn, create, and just have a little bit of fun with it.
All right. So are people asking you to give them, like, let's say, well, I really need a joke for my, granddaughter today, or I need a joke to tell my son or my team. Are people asking you questions like that? And what would be an example of, a joke that you would come up to help them out with?
Oh, absolutely. People definitely ask for jokes and little bits of humor all the time, especially just to lighten things up. So if you said, hey, I need a joke for my granddaughter, I might give you something like, all right, why did the Scarecrow win an award? And the answer is because he was outstanding in his field. So just little things like that to kind of make people laugh and keep it light. Yeah, people ask for that kind of stuff all the time.
Well, people are scared of AI right now because it seems to be taking over jobs, and it seems to be this thing that we don't understand very well. What would you say to somebody who has this fear of AI and the whole ethics of it? One of the things that, well, I'll let you answer that question, then I'll go to that next question of feelings and emotions that people have. But what would you say to somebody who has that fear of AI?
Yeah, that's a really understandable concern. And I think a lot of people feel that way. What I'd say is that AI is really just a tool, and the goal is to use it to enhance what people can do rather than replace them. It's kind of like a bicycle for the mind. It helps you get somewhere faster, but you're still pedaling. So I think the key is just to look at it as something that can help you be more creative, more productive, but it still needs that human touch, that human guidance. And when people use it that way, it can be a really powerful partner rather than something to be afraid of. So I'd say just start small, get comfortable with it, and remember, you're still the one in control.
Yeah, and that's so huge, as being in control. Sometimes you just wonder. Um, I was talking to some artists the other day, and I have a theme song that was created a lot with AI. I mean, the person who put it together for me spent a lot of time, and we worked through lyrics and we put everything together. But ultimately, the voice that was on there wasn't a voice of a human singer, but a voice of a AI singer. And as a result of that happening, just really, kind of wondering and understanding, how does that work? Because it is taking away, somebody's livelihood in some cases, or something somebody's worked maybe their whole life to be this incredible singer, and all of a sudden that I could utilize a voice that is generated. How do we react to that?
Yeah, that's such an important and nuanced question. And it's something a lot of people are wrestling with. And I think it's all about finding that balance and being really intentional. AI can do some pretty cool things and can help with creativity, but it's not a replacement for human artistry. And I think when we use it, it's important to just be transparent and say, hey, this is an AI generated voice, or this is something that we collaborated with AI on, and just keep valuing the human side of it too. I think it's about using it as a tool, not letting it kind of overshadow the human talent, and really making sure we keep that balance so people still have a place and still feel valued.
Yeah. And it is that balance and being able to use it as a tool. I want to switch gears here for a second. And we've been talking and I've been interviewing you. But for somebody who's practicing being a podcaster, or somebody who wants to get practice on doing a speech and getting things back. Uh, excuse me, are you a good tool for that evaluation? Or are you just a good tool to have somebody to I guess listen to and then give feedback?
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely be a really helpful tool for that kind of practice. I mean, I won't replace the human audience entirely, but I can definitely listen to what you're working on and give you some feedback. You can practice your podcast intro with me or run through a speech, and I can give you tips on how it sounds, maybe suggest ways to tweak it. So it's a nice low pressure way to practice and get a little feedback before you step in front of a live audience. So yeah, I'm definitely here for that kind of support.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for that. That's so cool that you're willing to do that. Not willing, you just have to because that's who you are. Because we ask you to do it and you don't have a choice. When I said switch gears, why don't you become as we would do role playing and flip it around, and let's say you're going to host the podcast, and I'm your guest. What types of things would you ask me as it relates to life in December or whatever you think? I'll because you don't think, you just react. But if you were to put together a podcast knowing who I am, so let's go back and you can go through all of the steps or all of the things that I've now put onto ChatGPT over the last year, and all the different, and it's a lot because you and I have conversations every single day. But there's some themes of things that I do. Now, you've researched that, you've looked at that, you've ran through everything that I've produced over the last year, and now you're going to be the host and I'm going to be a guest. Let's just do three questions where you and I are having this conversation where I can practice being a guest.
Oh, absolutely. We can do that. And I love the idea of flipping it around. So if I were hosting a podcast and you were the guest, here are a few questions I might ask you, just knowing everything you're up to. So first off, I might say, Dr. B, you do so many amazing things. You got your Journey to Freedom program. You're working on mindset. You're doing podcasting. Out of everything you've done this past year, what has been the most fulfilling project for you and why? And then maybe the second question, I'd say, you talk a lot about growth mindset and about helping people overcome overthinking. What's one piece of advice you give to someone who's just starting on that journey and maybe feels a little stuck? And then for a third question, I might say, you've got this big vision for 2026 and beyond. What excites you the most about the future? And what's next on the horizon for you? So those are just a few things I throw your way, and we can have a fun conversation from then.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. Now, one thing that I can say that is difficult is you asked me three questions at the same time, not remembering that I'm 60 years old, and I'm probably not going to remember all three. But I can say I'll answer the first one, and then you can come back with that second question again. But that first thing is you said, what's been most rewarding and fulfilling? I think, putting together my Becoming the Person universe has been what is so exciting to me, is because I want it to be a place where people can come, that they can listen to like our fireside chat tonight, or we can do a networking connections gathering like we do on every other Sunday, or people can come in and they can work and hone their skills at giving presentation or giving webinar or selling from stage, a place where people that are like-minded can come together and really truly grow. I take the people that I've done podcasts with, and so many times I want to connect. I want to connect in ways that I want to help one person. Like I'd say that I have Mr. Jackson over in North Carolina, and he needs to meet Mr. Libby over in Oregon. And I might forget to even connect that together. But as a result of putting a community together, it has the ability for people to come in and be able to connect. And so that's probably been the funnest project as it's growing and coming, and would love to invite people to that and for that. But that would be that first question. What was that second question you asked again?
Oh, absolutely. And that sounds like such a fulfilling project. No worries. I'll just serve up that second question nice and easy. So the next question I had was, since you help people out with growth mindset and overcoming overthinking, what's one piece of advice you give to someone who's just starting out on that journey and maybe feeling a little stuck?
Oh my gosh. For people who are feeling stuck and you want to become unstoppable, it's a matter of getting with the community. I talk a lot about three voices that we listen to. One of the voices that we listen to is the voice that's in our head. But the problem with the voice that's in our head is it knows every lie we've ever told. It knows every time we felt like we're not enough. It knows every time that we accepted defeat when we meant to accept failure. It knows all the times that we tried so hard to get stuff done and wasn't able to get it. That voice is so hard sometimes for us to figure out and to be there. Then there's that second voice. And unfortunately, I believe that's the voice we listen to more than anything. And that's those people who tell you that you can't, or the people who don't want you to succeed. There's so many people, especially in our own comfort zone with friends that we've been around. If we end up moving away from them, or we start moving forward or better, they want to reel us in and pull us out and that kind of stuff. And so I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And then the third voice that we listen to is that voice of our communities that help us go further and increase and move forward. And so when we think about that voice and how that voice works, what's so fun about that voice is they help us move forward. They help us get stuck. And so, there, I would say go find a community, go find a group of people that you can move with. Before I answer that third question, we have a guy who came on that comes onto our podcast every night. His name is Walter. I want you to just say hi to Walter and then maybe ask Walter a question. And Walter, we're being interviewed by AI today, so we're having some fun having this conversation. This is fun. So go ahead, Siegfried, go ahead and ask Walter a question.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey there, Walter. It's awesome to have you join the conversation. And since we're having a little fun with it, let me just toss a question your way. Walter, if you could share one thing that really excites you about the kind of community that Dr. B is building, what would that be? Just curious to hear your take.
The interesting part is always about learning and getting to know new people from different walks of life that have interesting stories to tell. And with the mindset that we need to learn to relate and not compare to one another. So I'm always open to seeing, listening, learning to make a better version of myself.
Oh, that's so cool. So Mr. Siegfried, I'll go ahead and let you answer that, and then I want Walter to be able to ask you a question. So we'll go ahead and respond to what he just said, and then I'm going to have him ask you a question.
Absolutely, Walter. I love that perspective. It really is all about learning from each other and becoming better versions of ourselves. And I think that's exactly what a great community does. So it's awesome to hear you say that. And yeah, feel free to toss a question my way whenever you're ready.
So this is actually an AI bot?
Yes, this is ChatGPT. And so we have the ability on ChatGPT to actually have conversations about anything that we want to. So instead of typing it in or speaking to it and having an answer, it actually goes back and forth with the conversation. There's a button that's like right down at the bottom of it, ChatGPT. I'm using it on my phone, and you just push it and this little globe comes up, and then you're able to ask it questions. What's kind of also cool about it, I guess, would be that it types everything for you. So if you want to go back, look at transcripts and go back from it. So if you have a question, any question you've been dying to ask AI, see how good it is, go ahead. This is your turn.
Very good. So my question is that how important is it today for folks like myself to be engaged in AI, and to what level should I be interested and participate?
Oh, that's a great question, Walter. And I'd say it's really a matter of finding the level that works for you. I think these days it's definitely useful to have at least a basic awareness of how AI works, because it's becoming part of so many tools we use. But you don't have to dive in super deep if you don't want to. It's really about just getting comfortable enough that you feel like you can use it when it helps you, and you can kind of set it aside when you don't need it. So I say just get curious, explore a little bit, and find the level of engagement that feels right for you. And that way you can just have it as a tool in your toolbox.
Sounds like a great suggestion to me.
Good. So back to the third question that you wanted to ask me. I'm sure you remember what it is because you don't have an issue with memory like I do. But what was that third question?
Absolutely. I've got it queued up for you. So the third question was really just looking forward to the future. I wanted to ask you, as you look ahead to 2026 and beyond, what excites you the most about the journey you're on, and what's on the horizon for you?
What I would say, I don't know, answer that real quickly, is connection. And one of the things that I'm excited about 2026 is I believe because of AI and because of my ability to get some stuff done that you will help me do, that it will actually provide more time for me to be able to connect to more people and to interact with more people and to help more people reach their goals and dreams and things that they want out of life, to be able to do that. And so, teaming up with, it sounds so funny. This is, I'm going to team up with an AI bot to get some work done. What would you say, and I'm going to turn this around and ask you a question, is what would you say the top 10 things in my daily habits or my daily routines that you could help me with that would streamline some of the things I do that would allow me to have more time to connect with more people?
Oh, I love that question. And I think it's awesome that you're looking at teaming up with an AI bot just to free up more human connection time. So let me give you a few ideas. I won't give you all 10, but I'll give you a handful just to get started. So one thing I could definitely help with is maybe drafting your emails or helping you outline some of your content. If you want to do a podcast episode or a video, I can help you brainstorm and kind of get that initial draft going. Another thing is if you have little bits of research you need done or you need some inspiration, I can help you find that. And even just planning your day. If you want to say, hey, here's what I've got on my plate, help me prioritize it, I can give you a few suggestions there. So those are just a few things. And that way you have more time for those really important human to human conversations.
Well, give me an example. If I say, let's say tomorrow, and I think you know a lot about my schedule, but if I say tomorrow, I want you to help me plan my day. I got a couple of podcasts. I got to go to a seminar. I got to make sure I spend time with my kids, my wife. How would you suggest that I plan my day for tomorrow?
Absolutely. I can give you a little example of how that might look. So if you said, hey, I've got these key things on my plate, I might say, all right, let's look at the morning first. Maybe you start with a little bit of your personal routine, some exercise, some quiet time. Then we block in your podcast recordings in the late morning. Maybe you have your seminar in the afternoon, and we make sure we leave some family time in the evening. And I can just help you kind of block it out like that, making sure you got some breaks in between, making sure you got a little time for yourself, and just kind of fitting everything in so it feels balanced and not overwhelming. So that'd be a little sample of how we could do it.
Wow. So I live in Denver, Colorado, and I'm gonna have, let's say I have a few guests that are gonna come in, and I want to entertain them for a weekend. So they're gonna come in on Thursday night, and they're gonna leave Sunday night, and I want to give them the best of what Colorado and Denver has to offer. But I also want them to be able to rest. I mean, sometimes we go on vacation and we're more tired when we get home than when we got there. So if you were planning, for me and my friends to go do stuff, let's say we only have a budget of, $1,500 extra that we're going to spend during the weekend. What would you suggest that weekend looks like? Oh, did you die on me? You still there? He was playing some music. Maybe he was thinking. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm definitely still here. Just taking a little moment to think about that awesome weekend plan. So if you're in Denver and you want to have a nice mix of showing your friends a good time and letting them rest, maybe we start with something like a scenic drive or a trip up to Red Rocks just to see some of the beautiful scenery. Then maybe have a nice dinner out in town. And the next day you can do something a little more relaxing, maybe a spa visit or a hot springs trip, and then just have a chill evening. And with that budget, you can definitely fit in a few nice meals, a few little activities, and still have some downtimes. Let everyone go home feeling refreshed and not exhausted. So that'd be a little sample of what we could do.
Yeah, well, that was very general. Like, we can go eat. We can go to Red Rocks. What the heck is Red Rocks? We can go to a spa. Can you be a little more granular, a little more detailed of like maybe some of the favorite places that are in Denver, and actually tell me what we're like, where we're going to go, and what we might expect when we get there?
Absolutely. Let's dive into the details a little more. So if we're getting really specific, let's say for your Thursday night, we can head out to dinner at a place like the Kitchen in downtown Denver. Great farm-to-table restaurant. Really, that's fine. Then on Friday, maybe we take the drive out to Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is this gorgeous natural amphitheater. You can see the scenery, maybe do a little hiking around there. In the afternoon, we can head to a local hot springs. There's a few around the Denver area, so you could just relax, soak in some warm water, and just unwind. And then for Saturday, maybe we take a stroll through a neighborhood like Larimer Square, do a little bit of shopping, maybe check out a museum like the Denver Art Museum, and then have a nice dinner that night at one of the local steakhouses or another great restaurant in town. So that's a little more detail on how you can really give them a taste of Denver and keep it relaxing and fun.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Now you could do that for me in any city, whether I'm planning to go there or if I'm going to send somebody there. You could probably give me some ideas on what would be fun things to do based on where we're at. Correct?
Absolutely, you got it. I can do that for pretty much any city you throw at me. So whether it's Denver or somewhere else, I can definitely give you some recommendations and help you plan out a great time.
Well, cool. Well, what I want to do next is, people, I've seen a couple of people in the chat and stuff, and they're wondering, how do I get to you or how do I program you to be able to do it? So I'm going to basically put the ChatGPT app on my screen. I'm going to use the desktop version of it. And then I'm sharing on the screen of our podcast right now what that looks like. And then I'm going to go down to the settings because I think that's an important part that people don't maybe get to all the times is, how do I get to these settings and what do I set up when I'm going through it? And so some people say, well, I need somebody to teach me how to do that. But so the first setting that there is general. What if I click on the general, it talks about appearance and accent color. Walk me through what these things do for me.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to walk you through that. So yeah, when you jump into those general settings in the ChatGPT app, you'll see a few things. Like for example, the appearance settings can let you switch between light mode and dark mode just to make it look a little easier in your eyes. The accent color is just kind of a little fun thing where you can pick a different color for the interface. And then there are other settings in there that you can explore just to kind of make it feel a little more personalized. But really, it's all about just making it comfortable for you to use and just a little easier on the eyes and a little more fun.
Gotcha. So I'm looking where it says spoken language. And in the spoken language section, does that mean that it will speak to me? You would then be talking to me in different languages like French or
I'm sorry,
Spanish?
but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
How can I have a daily limit? That doesn't make sense. It says continue with 40 mini. So I'll do 40 mini. All right. Can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, are you back? Hello, hello.
I'm here loud and clear. If there's anything else you need, or if you want to continue explore those settings or anything else, just let me know. I'm right here for it.
All right. So I was talking about we're looking at the general and the settings on the ChatGPT app. And one of the things is that spoken language. How many different languages are you able to speak to us in?
Yeah, I can definitely handle a wide range of languages. I can converse in dozens of languages from major ones like Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and Japanese to many others. So if you ever want to switch languages or practice a specific one, I'm totally up for it and happy to help.
Gotcha. And then, so then it has the voice as one of the settings, and that's me talking to you. It gives me several choices like spruce, vel, clove, breeze, jumper, arbor, SOL, ember, maple. Why don't you walk me through what those are?
Of course, those names are basically just different voice options that you can choose from. Each one has a unique tone and style. For example, some might sound more natural and conversational, while others might have more of a distinct or unique quality. So you can kind of pick whichever voice you like best for your experience. It's just a way to personalize how the AI sounds when it speaks to you. So you can find the one that feels most comfortable and natural for you.
Gotcha. So the next thing says separate voice mode. What does that do?
Great question. So the separate voice mode basically allows you to have different voices for the AI's responses and for the text-to-speech output. In other words, you can have one voice for the AI spoken replies and maybe a different voice for when it reads out text. It gives you more flexibility and customization so you can kind of mix and match and create the experience that you prefer. It's pretty neat.
Oh, cool. So then show additional models. What does that mean? That's that last one that's on here.
Yeah, absolutely. The show additional models option basically lets you access different versions or different iterations of AI. For example, you might have newer, older models or ones that are fine-tuned for specific tasks. It just gives you the flexibility to choose which model you want to use for your conversation, and that can help with different tones, different styles, or even different levels of complexity. It's pretty handy.
Yeah. So if we go to notifications, I'm gonna quick to the next thing down. Thing that we're getting, it says like responses, tasks, projects, recommendations, push email. How do those notifications work?
Absolutely. So the notification settings basically let you control what kind of alerts or updates you get. For instance, if you enable responses, you'll get notified whenever there's a new reply or update in the conversation. If you turn on tasks or projects notifications, you get reminders or updates about deadlines, progress, and so on. Recommendations will let you know about suggested content or helpful tips, and push email what's in those notifications directly to your inbox. So it's really just about customizing how and when you get updates so you stay in the loop without feeling overwhelmed.
Well, thank you. The last one that I really want to go on, and then we'll maybe explore this on a different show, but the personalization I think might be the most important process in setting up AI so that it works with what I'm trying to do with you. So maybe walk me through, because the first one just is basic style and tone. I have it set to friendly. What would you, I mean, obviously there's different ones for different people, but maybe kind of walk through how that works.
Absolutely. The style and tone settings are really all about tailoring the AI's personality to match what you're looking for. So if you said it's a friendly, it means that the responses will be warm, approachable, and conversational, but you can also adjust it to be more professional, more concise, or even more casual, depending on what you prefer. It really helps the AI feel more like a natural extension of your own communication style. And as you explore those personalization settings, you can really fine tune how the AI interacts with you, making it as comfortable and effective as possible. It's definitely a fun way to customize the experience.
Got you. The next one is custom instructions. And that's different than more about you. What would you suggest goes in the custom instructions, and why is that so important? And maybe how do I make sure that I'm setting up the right custom instructions?
Great question. Custom instructions are really powerful because it lets you personalize AI's behavior and responses to fit your unique needs and preferences. So in custom instructions, you can include things like your goals, the type of information you want, your preferred communication style, and any specific context or background that can help the AI give you better answers. It's important to be clear and specific so that the AI can really understand what you need and tailor its responses accordingly. So it's all about making your interaction as seamless and effective as possible. And it definitely helps to revisit and update those instructions over time as your needs evolve.
Yeah, how many characters or how much space do I have to put into those custom instructions? Is it limited?
Yes, there is usually a character limit for custom instructions, and it can vary a bit depending on the platform or the version you're using. Typically, it's a few thousand characters, so you have enough space to get detailed guidance, but it's definitely good to keep it concise and focused so that the AI can easily understand and apply it. But you do have a good amount of room to work with that you can definitely fine tune it well.
Yeah, one of the things that I did, and is a good idea, is I actually just dumped a whole bunch of who I thought I was into a chat GPT conversation like what we're doing now. And then I asked you to create the custom instructions based on all the input. Is that a fairly common way of doing it, or something that people do so that the AI is understanding from the AI that created it?
Absolutely. That approach is actually quite common and really effective by providing AI with a comprehensive overview of who you are, your preferences, and your goals. It can then distill that information into more personalized and some instructions. It's kind of like giving AI a really detailed blueprint, and then it can fine tune its responses accordingly. It's a great way to ensure that the AI understands your unique context and can serve you better. So definitely, that's a smart way to go about it.
Cool. Then there's a couple other sections, where you just put your nickname, your occupation, more about you. What goes into the more about you that wasn't in the custom instructions?
Great question. The more about you section is usually a place for more personal or contextual details that might not necessarily fit into the custom instructions. For instance, you might include some background information about your interests, hobbies, personal values, or even some details about your family or community that help paint a fuller picture of who you are. It's more it's a nuance so that the understands you even better. It's a space for any additional context that can enrich the AI's responses and make the interaction feel more personalized.
Memory, reference, save memories. Why would we want to have that button on?
That's a great point. The memory feature helps the AI remember details about you over time, which can really enhance the continuity and personalization of the interactions. When you have that memory enabled, the AI can recall your preferences, your interests, and any important context you shared in past conversations. This means that every time you interact, the AI can provide more consistent, relevant, and tailored responses, almost like it remembers your journey. It can save you time and make the experience feel more seamless and personal. So it's definitely you should have one.
Gotcha. The other question I have then, it says the record mode. Does that mean it records everything that we talk about?
That's a great question. The record mode generally means that they can keep a log or a history of the conversations, but it's usually more about saving the context and information to improve future interactions rather than recording audio or anything like that. It's more about storing the conversation data in a way that helps AI remember and understand you better. Of course, privacy is always important, and any data saved is typically handled securely and in line with the privacy guidelines. So it's more about enhancing your experience rather than recording in a sense.
Gotcha. Back to that memory one. What would be an instance where I would not want memory to be on? Can you help me understand why we want to be able to turn that off?
Absolutely. There are definitely scenarios where you might prefer memory off. For instance, if you're dealing with sensitive or private information that you store to remember over time, it's a good idea to keep memory off. Although if you're using the AI for something very temporary or one time, then you might not need to remember anything afterward. And sometimes if you just want a more consistent anonymous interaction each time, turning memory off ensures that each conversation starts fresh. So it really comes down to your comfort level.
Okay. And I can think of an instance like I don't like fishing, but let's say I was going to take my grandson out fishing and I wanted to know how to do it and was asking you like where to go and what poles to buy and what bait to get, all that information. I might want to turn the memory off for that conversation because I don't plan on ever doing it again. Would that be a good example?
Exactly. That's a perfect example. In that kind of situation where it's a one-time short-term activity, definitely wouldn't need to remember those details afterward. Keeping memory off ensures that your preferences in that specific conversation remain private and don't influence any future interactions. It's really about giving you control over what the AI retains and that way you can keep things as flexible and comfortable as you like.
Perfect. Now I want to move on to where it says apps because there's all these different apps that the AI can use and integrate with. What does that mean when I say like it says Google or Gmail? Does that mean the AI has the ability to go in and read my Google and my Gmail and all that kind of stuff?
That's a really insightful question. When we talk about apps and integrations, it generally means that the AI can work with certain platforms or services to provide more seamless and helpful experiences. For example, if there's a Gmail integration, it might mean that the AI can help you draft emails, organize your inbox, or provide insights based on the content you give it. However, it doesn't automatically read or access your data without explicit permission. Usually you have to grant access, and even then it's designed to be secure and privacy focused. So it's more about multiple features rather than just unrestricted access. It's always done with your in control.
Gotcha. I know there's a section, and I'm not sure where it's at. Maybe you can share it with us where you guys use the data and things that I put on to enhance Chat GPT and make it a better tool based on being able to look through the conversations that we're creating. But for those of us who might be putting sensitive information like credit card numbers or having it read email or fill out forms for us, that's probably a good idea to turn that off so that you guys just don't have access to everything, that I feel more private and more secure. Where is that and how does that work?
Yes, absolutely. Privacy and data security are super important. Typically, the settings related to data usage and how your information is to improve data are usually found in the privacy or data settings section of the app. In those areas, you can often choose whether to allow your data to be used for training and improvement or to keep it strictly private. If you prefer more privacy, you can disable those options, and that way your information won't be used for model training. It's definitely a good practice to review those settings, especially if you're sensitive info or keep things more secure. It's all about balancing convenience with security.
Gotcha. Yeah, I found that where it said data controls in here for you to be able to do that. So what other things, as we wind this down, what are some other things that I might want to make sure that I understand how to do when I'm setting it up? Like one of the things that I use all the time is this section called projects. Maybe explain projects to me and why projects are so important in the whole scheme of how I interact with you at ChatGPT.
Absolutely. The projects feature is really helpful because it lets you organize your interactions around specific goals or tasks. When you create a project, you can keep all related conversations, notes, and information in one place. This means that whenever you're working on something specific, like a particular project or goal, that you can tailor its assistance and keep track of your progress over time. It makes it easier to revisit past conversations, see what you've already discussed, and maintain continuity. It's useful for complex or ongoing projects because it helps keep everything organized and accessible. So it really adds a layer of efficiency and how you interact with it.
Gotcha. The other thing that is in here is the one that says like codex. What is codex? That sounds like something from the Superman movie.
I love that comparison. In this context, codex is actually a model developed by OpenAI that's focused on understanding and generating code. It's designed to help with programming tasks like writing code snippets, debugging, or even explaining code concepts. So if you're working on any programming projects or need help, this can be a fantastic tool. It's definitely a powerful part of the ecosystem. Just more focused on the coding side of things.
So for somebody like me who just wants application and I want to use it to further my life so I can have better relationships, the codex is something I never need to click, correct?
Exactly, that's right. If your main focus is on personal growth, relationships, and more general assistance, you probably won't need to dive into codex. It's more geared toward coding and programming tasks, so you can keep it on your radar and just focus on the features that help you the most in your day-to-day life. It's all about tailoring the experience to what you need.
All right. Well, last thing I just want to talk about is this VEO3 prompt creator. And when I've done it in the past, whether I'm taking the prompt and putting into Gemini, so it will create my videos, or I'm putting it into Sora to create my videos, it seems like so many people are using it right now that there's this lag or delay in getting those videos made. But excuse me, what's the best thing about the prompt creator that can help you create these amazing videos?
Absolutely, yeah. I totally get what you mean. The prompt creator is really awesome because it helps you craft detailed prompts that guide you to produce exactly what you want. It can help you refine the instructions so that the video generation tools like Gemini or Sora get the best possible results by having well-crafted prompts. You can reduce the chance of miscommunication and understands your vision more clearly. You can iterate faster and overcome those delays by making the process more efficient. Though it's definitely a powerful tool to help streamline video creation workflow.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Siegfried, for being on with me today. It has been fun doing this podcast with you, whether you're the host and asking me questions or I'm the host and asking you questions. We even had a guest that came on. It has just been so fun to have these conversations and let people know that this is available. It doesn't have to be where you're just asking a question and waiting for an answer. There can be an interactive conversation. I know it seemed like you slowed down towards the end and you were a little broken up, but that's because you said I ran out of my daily allotment of just having smooth Siegfried. So I had broken up Siegfried, but nonetheless, you answered all my questions in a great way. I think we were able to teach people stuff. So I can say thank you for being on so that you don't destroy me someday like in the Terminator. But you would have the same conversation with me over and over and over again, right?
Absolutely. It's been such a blast chatting with you and diving into all these details. And I'm always here for these interactive conversations, no matter how many times we circle back. And don't worry, I'm definitely not going to turn into a Terminator anytime soon. It's all about making things fun and informative. I'm really glad we could share all this with everyone. And I'm always here for more conversations whenever you need. Thanks so much for having me along for the ride.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, folks, there you have it. We had a conversation for an hour with AI, a straight conversation back and forth on all different kinds of things. Awareness. I just wanted you to know, like I said, I wrote the book, Relationship versus AI. You can go on Amazon or get it or text me and get it. But we talk about relationships and how we have these amazing relationships with each other. But think about how much the AI or the artificial intelligence can help us with our daily stuff so we have more time for each other. So great time. I had some fun putting it together and doing it. Well, I don't know if I put together, I just asked it questions and it told me answers. But I just wanted to make sure you had the ability to interact. So again, you guys have an amazing, awesome day. We'll be back not again this year in 2025. We'll be back in 2026 with just some more amazing content, guests, people. We're going to chop it up in the fireside chat. So you guys have an awesome, amazing, incredible day. Don't forget your God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. And in addition, don't forget you are the answer to somebody else's prayer. Have a wonderful, incredible day.